My name's Liz, I'm 47. I live in a really nice little village just outside Colchester. It's a nice location to be in. There's a stone's throw from London. Essex gets some bad press really, but I think it's pretty cool. It's good, fairly good music scene and some arty people about. I've actually got two jobs. I work in a factory, which is sort of a bit unglam, but it pays my bills nicely. And then my fun job is selling vintage clothing. My company, Easy Tiger Vintage. And that's real my passion really, work-wise. Something I can put my creativity into, which is fun. I created the business really. It's sort of, I think it's one of these things that just, it's quite organic in its growth really. I didn't sit down and think, I need to make some money, what can I do? Years ago I had a little cafe, and the fun bit for me was I was sort of starting to collect bits and bobs, my own clothing, and do charity shops and things, and I decided I'd put a little rail up in the cafe just to try and have a bit of a clear out, and that was quite popular, and I realised I got more of a buzz from selling clothes really than making food. And someone approached me at the time and we shared a little stall at a festival when I was about 18, and that really ignited my interest for selling really. And actually I think, it sounds a bit odd, but even as a child I liked selling stuff. I used to have my friends round. They used to do like Saturday morning cinema when I was about 10, and I'd get my friends round and sell them old toys and make little hair clips out of feathers and things. So I think I've always enjoyed selling things to people. The name didn't mean anything as such. I just thought it was a fun phrase, Easy Tiger really. And as I started off by selling at festivals, because years ago there weren't vintage fairs really when I was selling, wanted something to make people smile, and it was nice hearing people walk past the stall and go, oh, Easy Tiger, and have a laugh really. I primarily sell vintage, although I do enjoy upcycling certain things where I will dye things or customise items. Like I've recently got into selling kimono, so I've been enjoying like dyeing some of those so they're a bit blemished, like hot pinks and things, which is fun. I like tie-dye. But yeah, vintage wise it ranges from the 1940s to 90s really, and it's kind of scary for me to think that 90s is vintage because it doesn't seem like that long ago really. I guess we're getting on for 20 years, 25 years. Yeah, the criteria for vintage really I think is anything 25 years or older. Target audience wise, I wouldn't really say I've got a set customer in mind, because I like the fact that hopefully my clothing will appeal to lots of different people. Although really, I suppose if I'm doing a lot of the fairs, say I do a vintage fair in London, it tends to be students, so I might gear the stock a bit more around that, like shell tops and things like that. So sort of an 18 to 25 or a bit younger even audience, but it's really nice to be able to sell things. Like I sold a coat to a lady in her 80s not long ago, and that was lovely really, just the chance to sort of offer a bit of style advice as I was selling to her. I think I dress fairly eclectically. I don't really like to follow a set look. I know we're all influenced, but I've never really wanted to be one that has to dress because the magazine's telling me that's what's in fashion as such. And I despair really of fashion. I'm a bit, even though I'm working in a fashion world I suppose, it's so easy to see how the shops, the big stores sort of dictate what we should be wearing, and it's very strategic because then of course next season those, you know, jeans or the slashes in for sake of argument, people aren't going to want to wear them because they're so last season. Everything gets such a, you go in the shops and it's massive the same stuff, and particularly if you're a man, there's very little choice. check shirts and jeans. But yeah, I think my style, I sort of try to be quite eclectic really. I like vintage, but I'll mix it up with high street. My favourite item of clothing would definitely be my, got a gorgeous like 60s coat, leopard print. It's got a really sort of short velvet nap, so it's not too full on. And I like it because it's really versatile. I can wear it with some jeans and a logo tee or something, or I can chuck it on with a gorgeous evening dress and it works just as well. So it's a really nice versatile garment that's just really comfortable and easy to wear, and I only paid about £5 for it, so that's nice as well. I wouldn't say I'm interested in influence, rather by specific celebrities. I try and avoid that whole getting caught up in what celebrities are wearing really, because I think it's nice to work your own look. But I've always admired, I don't know, like the old Hollywood fashion. I was quite into watching old movies when I was a teenager, so the likes of Lauren Bacall, with that real lovely androgynous tailoring, and who doesn't like Marilyn Monroe with her lovely wiggle dresses, things like that. It's really sexy. But yeah, I think style-wise it's nice to not be influenced too much by the outside world, and these days with social media that's becoming less easy for people. Well, when I was a teenager I was a real little, well, I used to call ourselves weirdos. I don't know where that came from at the time. I'm going back to the 80s. I don't think there were even quite such specific genres for different styles, although I can remember punk being very popular, and I had a friend who was a goth, and I can remember thinking, wow, it's a strange thing. But yeah, I think I dressed quite strangely really now looking back, but it was less about looking feminine and or sexy, and just we wanted to look different really. I think it wasn't anything too shocking by today's standards, but I had my hair shaved all at the sides and sticking up, and I can remember getting some funny looks in the street, but we kind of liked that. We didn't want to be ignored really. It was quite heavily influenced by punk, I suppose. In 10 years time from now, I don't think I'll look dramatically different. I mean, who knows, maybe I'll if I have a different job, say in a more kind of straight environment, it would be natural to certainly dress for work in a more conservative fashion. I'm aware as I get older I don't want to be quite so showy. I won't probably have so much flesh on show, but I think you can still, I don't like the sort of age rules about clothing. I can remember seeing an article a while ago in one of the Sunday supplements, and they said, is it appropriate for women to wear a miniskirt from different, and there was a woman in her 60s, she had great legs, but they just put in a little leather miniskirt with some opaque tights, and she rocked that look. Hopefully I'll still feel like I can wear a miniskirt as I get older, but I probably won't wear it with bare legs and high heels. What would I tell my younger self about fashion? Get out the bloody door. You don't keep your boyfriend waiting an hour and a half. It's not essential to try on 10 different outfits before you go out. I can remember it being life or death finding the right outfit to go to some sweaty club or smoky pub years ago. The anguish and anxiety that choosing outfits used to cause was, just unnecessary. And I think I think it's nicer getting older because you actually give less of a stuff really. You kind of have go-to outfits, which is nice, and you're not quite so worried about what your peers are wearing. It shouldn't sound judgmental, but I look at girls out sometimes if I'm getting a bus through town, and I think, what have they done? Just rung up and said, oh, you're wearing your jeans and white t-shirt, so I'm going to wear my jeans and white t-shirt, and they're like identical. It's nice to, be a bit individual really. When I dress, I do feel it gives me a bit of a boost of confidence. I think it's probably a bit similar to putting your lipstick on for war paint. I certainly don't feel pressured to dress up. and I'll have plenty of days when I'm walking around the village in a puffer coat or something, but I think when you make the effort, it does give you a bit more buoyancy. It's like you feel a bit more prepared for the day. Don't think I'm judged due to my appearance, or maybe it's just that I don't really notice. I guess if anything, a bit vainly, I kind of like to be noticed. If you've made the effort with an outfit, or if you're going to a party, it's nice. There's no point getting ready and putting your favourite things on and not getting a compliment or something. So I think, thankfully, if I'm judged, it's more of a positive thing now. I mean, I think things have changed as well. People have got bright hair and piercings. Not that I'm too alternative, but certainly as a teenager, if you had your nose pierced, people would think you're a prostitute or something pretty much. I'm glad things have changed and attitudes have become more relaxed about clothing. I'd like to see more of that. I think it's refreshing if I do fairs in London, because a man will feel that they can buy a kimono from me to wear as a coat. It probably wouldn't happen in Colchester. I mean, being female is probably easier. If I was a man, probably, and wanted to dress a bit more outrageously, or I mean, there's a guy who lives. I see him if I'm driving into town, and it's not in like a full-on skirt. He's got like a kilt type skirt, like made of camouflage material, and he may never have been hassled, but my little sort of motherly instinct thinks, God, I hope he doesn't get hassled, because I bet he does, because I know what people are like. And I hate the fact, I mean, I could be as bitchy as the next person, but I certainly would never, sounds two-faced, I would certainly never comment on what people are wearing, because it's their choice, and you want people to feel comfortable being out and about, and it's more of a failing in other people really than, and what they're wearing. I think I despair sometimes of the way people just don't care. No, sweatpants and but it's all choice, isn't it? And they're only clothes at the end of the day. Generally, I feel young at heart. Yeah, I think so. I think you almost define yourself with your perception of yourself, if that makes sense. So if you label yourself as being old, you will sort of act in a negative way and feel like, I can't do that because I'm too old. I certainly haven't got the energy levels I had in my 20s, say, but I think if you're positive and you look after yourself a bit, then it keeps you young at heart. A lot of it's hanging around with good people, friends that make you laugh and similar sort of outlook, and taking care of yourself. I've recently started doing some Zumba classes, hopefully trying to keep a lot of it fit, keep your energy levels going. But yeah, I think a lot of it is in the mind.